What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Mr. Random, and as you guys can see right behind me, we have that notorious, that famous basking shark 1979 Lincoln Mark V. Now, after I finished the review, I realized this car has so many quirks. There's so many different ridiculous 1979 Ford only quirks and just different things that came with this car that it required a video of its own. So without further ado, guys, today we're going to cover those insane features that back in 1979 were not only top game, this was the highest luxury vehicle at the Ford Motor Company in that year, but these features were deemed pretty normal back then, even though to us now they are from literally another world. So let's go check them out. All right, guys, then we're going to start right off the bat with the exterior of the car. I'm going to give you guys some quick little rapid fire ones, some that you might have already known about. But then again, it's 2019, and we got to take into account there's kids that were born in 2001 that are now turning 18. So yeah, we're going to cover some of these, although a lot of you guys might know about them. But we're going to start off with the Lincoln logo, as you guys can see. Now, a feature about these things back in the day, when, you know, these things cost a pretty penny, and I'm sure it costs a lot more now, but you see how it folds around? That's in case somebody bangs into your Lincoln emblem, or if they try to steal it. That was actually a thing back in the day too. They can't. It's just gonna keep coming back, baby. Now, making our way to the back of the Lincoln, if you ever wanted to access the trunk, you might be asking yourself, where the hell do you put the key to access the trunk? Well, yet you have another movable Lincoln logo. You got to move this out of the way, and that's going to reveal the keyhole for your trunk. Now, anybody who's ever seen one of these things rolling down the road, you automatically see this big old spare tire hump in the back, and you automatically assume that that's where the spare tire is being kept. And although in the previous generations of these cars, that's exactly where the spare tire was kept, what Lincoln ended up doing all the way even through the Mark 8 is they kept this fake, or whatever you want to call it, spare tire hump. Reality, when you lift this thing up, it's nothing but trunk, and their spare tire actually comes in the car. Another cool thing that came with the Mark V that was only found in the Ford Thunderbirds, and that is this crazy porthole window. You can actually look through it, and I'll show you guys what it looks like from the inside, but it is very surreal. It feels like you're, especially in a car that's this giant, it feels like you're in a freaking submarine looking out this damn window. Now, before I make my way into the interior where all the actual good craziness is at in this car, there's two more things I want to show you guys. Number one is you're going to notice this Lincoln has these side vents right here. Now, before Maserati came along or any of these modern sports cars, the 1979 Lincoln Mark V was actually doing functional fender vents. As you guys can see, make our way around here as well to the driver's side. They're actually functional, and the purpose of these was actually to dissipate the engine heat that was in this car. There's a big old 400 cubic inch 6.6 liter V8 in there. Produces a lot of heat. This helps dissipate all that heat. And the last thing you're going to find on the interior, this was something that was very common with the Lincolns and the Mercurys of the time, is a fully functional, yes, driver's side mirror mounted outside thermometer. That is a real thermometer, fully functional. So while you're driving your Lincoln, you look at your mirror, you look down, you can tell the temperature outside. All right, now from the side, you might notice that this looks like a regular side marker, maybe even blinker light. But if you actually get closer, look at this. This is almost paper thin, guys. Look at this, paper thin. This is actually a very primitive, the only word I got for it is kind of like a hologram for your turn signal. So other cars across from you can actually see if you're turning. What would happen is if you activate your turn signal, there it is flashing. It's too dark right now to tell, but that projects onto this little square right here, and this part will activate as well with your turn signal. And another thing this car had was these active lighting things that Ford and Lincoln was messing around with back in the day. When you're making a turn left or right, these lights would actually turn on and assist you in the corners. When you're making a corner in a dark, curvy country road, you can actually see better and that can all be adjusted through the control panel over there. But we're not done with the incredibly ridiculous cool things. As you guys can see right here, that's probably one of my favorite features about this car, is that it had pop-up headlights. Yeah. Corvette owners, eat your heart out. All right, guys, now is when all the quirks and all the craziness of this car really start getting ridiculous. We're gonna start right off the bat with this factory. This isn't an aftermarket. This car came with a factory CB radio. As you guys can see, it even has the Ford logo. Talk about old school right here, man. You don't see stuff like this anymore. And I bet you anything, when looking for one of these cars, if it doesn't come with this, it's gonna definitely affect the value of it. And then we got the instrument cluster. As you guys can see, you got your miles per hour, your gear selector, and then you have a fully functioning Cartier quartz clock. Those aren't the RPMs. It's literally a working, functioning clock. Of course, this wouldn't be a 1979 car without a full tape deck right here. As you guys can see, the owner of this has actual good taste in music. You got the Beach Boys going on. Now, another feature of a late 70s, early 80s, hell, even 90s car was the smoker's window. What makes it so special on a Lincoln Mark V is that that's actually electronically controlled. When you lower your window, your smoker's window goes down first, in case you're trying to have a smoke, and then the rest of the window comes down after that. Another really cool thing about these old school cars right here, you guys see this right here? You got your emergency brake, you got your brake pedal, and you got your accelerator. You see that little button right there? That little button right there. That little button right there. One cool feature about all these cars is that that button actually controls the high beams. All you got to do is, when you're driving down the road, it's very convenient. You keep both hands on the steering wheel, and all you need is your foot to activate your high beams. So just go push it. All right. And the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is the steering wheel. You have a 4,600 pound monster. This thing is an absolute torque monster. The hood goes on for miles. And look at this tiny, skinny steering wheel. Now, although I will admit, it's really comfortable when you're cruising. It's perfect, the way you can control it and all that. It's perfect. You get a good grip on it. But this thing is absolutely tiny for such a big car. All right, guys, and that's going to be it for today's videos. Those are just some of the small quirks and features that came in a 1979 Lincoln Mark V. By far is one of the coolest, craziest looking, just insane cars. The way it's built, the way it drives, the amount of torque this thing has been an absolute blast to drive. And I want to thank Gary for giving me the opportunity to review his baby. He's put a lot of work and a lot of time into keeping this car the way it is. It's definitely a rolling classic, and I'm glad that people like him are still keeping these things on the road. So thank you, man.